Welcome to the Queer Confidence Podcast, the podcast to help you become your most confident queer self. I'm your host, he, she, they, Coach Alex Ray, and I haven't always been this confident. In fact, I used to be super insecure. And through this show, I want to share with you what's worked for me, my clients, and my guests so that you can become more confident. Hey unicorn, welcome back. Today, we're talking about trauma responses. Last week, we talked about trauma bonding, which is where we use our trauma stories to relate and bond with other people. And we also talked about being bonded with our own trauma. Today, we're going to talk about trauma responses, which is where we respond without any real thought and often are left with I don't know why I do that. I just do. Okay. So I see this a lot come up, especially in the dating process in our community, where we are, as queer people, right? It was not safe for us to be our full authentic selves and to be seen when we were kids. And so now when we start getting close to somebody, we shut down, we hide, we run away. I see it so often. And just about every time that I am coaching one of you on your dating process, we're always finding, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Here's a little bit of hiding that's been coming up. It's just old childhood shit. This is a trauma response. It makes sense. So in order to understand what's going on here, you're going to need to understand how the human mind works. And if you work with me, you are familiar with the model, right? Our circumstance, thought, feeling, action, result. If you're not working with me, I'll give you a brief overview here. The model is a tool by the Life Coach School that helps us look at how we interact with circumstances around us. It helps us look and explain, oh, why do I feel that way? Why did I take that kind of action? Why are these results showing up in my life? What are the thoughts that I'm thinking? And do I want to be thinking those? So we list out a circumstance, then we have a thought about that circumstance, just a sentence, a belief on it. Our thoughts create our feelings. And that's something extremely important that you have to understand for trauma responses, okay? Thoughts create feelings. Feelings lead us to take action, or sometimes that's like inaction, we just freeze. And then that leads us to a result. The way we think, feel, act, we end up creating a result for ourselves in our life that always ends up reflecting the thought. Okay, so what happens in a trauma response, if you have this visual, we have the circumstance. Normally we have a thought and then the feeling, action, result. In a trauma response, we skip right over the T line, the thought. We go from a circumstance, something happens, right to a feeling. And oftentimes we're not even really in touch with the true deep feeling. Most of the time with a trauma response, the feeling that we feel is usually kind of a mask over it. Like if we might really actually feel anger, we might have some other kind of feeling like, oh, I'm just nervous. It's something quick, kind of easy to digest, but it gets us moving and we immediately act another way. So what happens is we have a circumstance, we immediately go into a quick little feeling and an action. As adults, it's so much easier for us to sit and process and look at, wait a minute. Why did that happen? Why did I react that way? Oh, because I was believing this story about it. But as kids, we're not ready to process our feelings. We're not ready to process our thoughts. And maybe we're more ready than we think we are. But what adult is teaching this to kids, right? Who is teaching our kids to process and feel and to be aware of our thinking. I definitely was not taught that. What happens in a trauma response as an adult is it was unsafe for this circumstance. Like, we had a thought about it, we felt a certain way, we acted, we got results in our life as kids, and it was unsafe. And usually it can be as simple as the thought was like, I'm going to die, which of course is a very unsafe thought for a child. So this goes back to our primitive brains. And when we were primates, when we were more just cave-dwelling people, right? Community was so essential. We had to have it in order to survive, because you're not going to survive out there on your own against the lions and tigers and bears. You need other people. You need community. And so it's very built into us as humans to fear being abandoned, to fear being alone, to fear loss of our community. And as kids, that's what our parents are for us. They are our community. And when you realize that you are LGBTQIA+, when you realize that you are queer in some way, your brain suddenly goes, oh shit, I might get kicked out for this. And if I get kicked out, I'm going to die because I'm going to get eaten alive by the wild animals. Which then equates to, if they see who I am going to die. And as like a young kid, you're not ready to process those thoughts of, oh my gosh, my life is in actual danger. And so what we do is we develop these trauma responses every time, somebody's getting close to me, they're seeing me. We put on a show, we put on a mask. And what that might look for you is maybe you're big and theatrical and you put on like a big show. Because if you can cover up with that big show, then they're never actually going to be able to see who you are on the inside. It could also look like pulling back. You might hide, you might shut down typically. You might never really let people into your life. You might think, I'm a private person. I'm just very private. Everyone just gets this surface version. Either way, it's the same behavior. Just one looks theatrical and one looks just kind of quiet. It's, hey, here's a version I'm allowing you to see of me because I don't want you to actually see the deeper me. I don't want you to actually see me, because if you do, I might die. Well, I don't believe that I might die because I'm not aware of that. It's buried. It's childhood. Okay. Do you see it? Do you see how that inner child is taking over control of the ship? I think of like a spaceship. When I was a kid, I had watched Star Trek a little bit. And so I created this visual in my head as I was writing the notes for this show. And I thought, it's kind of like if there was a planet that we are passing by in the starship, right? And we're like seeing, okay, there's that planet. Now, the planet might just be neutral. It might not be scary. However, once upon a time, like when we saw that planet, then we might have gotten physically harmed. Or we at least got emotionally harmed as a kid. That planet now is associated with, holy fucking shit, I'm gonna die. It's not associated with, oh, there's a planet. There it is. And so the inner child is like, whoa, 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 whoa. I recognize that thing outside the starship. I see the planet. I'm setting off the alarms. I am going to fucking duct tape, tie down every single person in this ship. I am taking over. This is not safe. They don't understand because the adults here are not listening to me. They're telling me it's just a planet, and I'm telling them, hell no, it's not. That means death. We are going to die. It's like, let me set off all the alarms. And I'm seeing this like little mischievous character like running around like, you know what? I tried to warn you adults and you don't believe me. So you're done. And like tying them up. This totally happened in Oh, what is that show? Oh my gosh, it's going to kill me. It's on Netflix, and it's like a reboot of that show, with like Danger Will Robinson, that show. Oh my god. Someone messaged me on Instagram and tell me what this is called. This is so funny. Anyway, you can Google it. I'll try like putting it in the show notes as well. I'll figure it out. Okay. So this show, there is a character, Dr. What is her name? I don't even know, but whatever. She's kind of like this mischievous character. She kind of derails a lot of things for the Robinsons. And I think it's like Dr. Smith is her name, I think. Anyway, she is like our inner child. She's like, oh, hell no. This is dangerous for me. You all aren't listening to me and you don't know better. And she like traps them and takes over the ship and steers them in another direction. And most of the show, you're like on the side of the humans. They're all humans. Of the Robinsons. And Dr. Smith is like the bad guy. However, what if we just had a little compassion for her for a moment? Like, she was clearly really traumatized. And when she sees these things, she goes into full-blown trauma response mode. She ties them up. She hides them away. She was like, you're going to steer the ship towards the thing that I know for sure is dangerous, and I just can't have it. And I'm not going to listen to your rational arguments. I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. You don't have a choice. I'm taking over because we are in a life or death scenario. You don't get to bore me with your facts. And this is exactly what happens in our brains, you all. We now as adults might have these trauma responses, and then we try reasoning with ourselves about it. No. Our inner child, our inner Dr. Smith is like, fuck no. You are not telling me any kind of logical argument here. No. Not listening. And you are actually irresponsible as an adult because you're putting me in danger again. And so we build a lot of mistrust between our inner adult and our inner child. The thing to remember about trauma is that it's not about the event. It's about how you process it. So we can't compare our trauma with other people's trauma because it's all in the processing. And we can't logic our way out of trauma now as an adult because our inner child is like, they're like, yeah, I know that's how you interpret it, but the inner child is always stuck on how it was processed, not in the actual event. So logic doesn't really work. Now, a couple examples quickly for you on the trauma responses and what they look like so you can notice these in yourself. One trauma response, a really easy to catch one because it has such just an instant physical reaction, is pulling away when someone tries to touch you. That can be an indicator of physical abuse or of abuse in some way. Again, it doesn't have to be a huge violent thing. It's about how you processed it as a child. It's about how your inner child is now interpreting what's happening now. And so the thought as a kid was touch is not safe. As an adult, it's just like, we had all these reasonings as a kid, but those are locked away. Remember, the trauma response ignores the thought line. We just have a touch, a circumstance, someone touches us, and we immediately take action into pulling away. You could also be hiding who you are authentically. And this is the example I mentioned earlier, where we wear a mask. We don't really show our full self. And this is something that I've had a lot of fun doing recently, showing more of who I am on Instagram. And you're seeing me do it with me wearing heels more, and I wear them in public, y'all. Like, I don't care. I have gone shopping at Target in heels. I go to networking events in heels. I meet new friends and go on dates sometimes. Wait, have I gone on a date in heels? I'm trying to think. I don't know if I have gone on like a first date in heels. Maybe I'm going to try that now. Okay. But I have worn makeup plenty of times on dates. I've worn makeup on through like every party and what do you call that? Like networking event and stuff that I go to for the last couple months. And I wear it on Instagram. I'm showing up with more of me. And makeup and heels in particular used to be very taboo things. Oh, tarot too. Right? Tarot used to be very terrifying for me as a kid because I thought it was the devil's work. And all of these things I've always been curious about. I've always been curious about more spirituality. I've always loved creativity. I'm a very creative person, and makeup is so fun. I feel like I get to make a little work of art every day. And heels are so fun because I feel like sassy and bossy and in charge. And I love it. Now, I did not feel safe for a very, 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 very long time to allow people to see these things. I'm feeling safer now to do it because I know how to have my own back, because of my own journey in confidence. I am ready to share these things. What you don't need to do is go and force yourself to be there. You don't need to go and force yourself to show more of your authenticity to other people. Not yet. Your inner child is still stuck on freaking out and not feeling safe. So here's what you want to do. If you want to address trauma responses, you do not want to go and force them head on and logic your way through them. It won't work. What you want to do instead is to notice. Notice when you have a trauma response. Judgment free. It does not work if you go, oh, well, someone touching you does not equal them harming you. So get over it. We want to have sex. Like, that is not a helpful argument for your inner child or your inner Dr. Smith, who is like, I don't really care about your logic because your logic doesn't get me. Your adult reasoning just ignores what I know to be true. And what I know to be true is that I'm going to die. Give your inner child a hug. Validate them for what they feel. You feel like you're going to die? Oh, wow. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm not arguing out of it. I'm not trying to convince you that you're not going to. I'm giving you a big hug. And then find out from your inner child, once they're feeling safe to actually voice with you, because before, remember, your inner child is like taking over the show. They're like, I don't want to talk with you. I don't want to share my reasoning with you. I'm just going to duct tape you and throw you in the closet, lock you in there, and I'm going to take control of the ship. Now, if you're actually being calm with them, giving them a hug and listening, ask, what do you need from me? They need something from you. And it might just be that safety. What do they need emotionally from you? What do they need emotionally from you? Maybe they just need to feel safe. Maybe they need to feel cared for. Maybe they need to feel important. What do they need to know that they don't currently believe right now? Probably something like that you will be there for them first and foremost, that you won't shame them in an effort to accomplish your adult agenda. You have done it before, you're very sorry, and you're not doing that anymore. They need to know that you are going to look out for their needs, that you are going to listen to them and what they say they need, that you are going to validate it, and sometimes you might make a scary decision, but that never means that you don't love them or don't value their view. It's just that you're the captain of the ship, and ultimately you got to weigh the options. Your inner child really wants to feel important. They want to feel listened to. And so until they feel like you're going to listen to them, they don't want to be your teammate. They just want to tie you up. My friend, a last word of encouragement: trauma responses do become weaker over time. As you build this trust, this relationship between your inner adult and inner child, your inner child will be ready to have a conversation with you before tying you up and just taking over. It will get easier, but it may never fully disappear. Your inner child may forever be afraid of these things. They may always sound the alarm. They may always feel afraid. That's okay. But the difference is your inner child will now know to go to you for safety first, instead of just taking over the ship. Build this relationship with your inner child so that you can steer your ship of life together. I'll see you next week, my friend. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend so they too can become more confident. You can also help more people find the show by leaving a 5-star review wherever you listen. And if you want to become a more confident queer with support from yours truly, head to coachalexray.com or use the link down in the show notes. I'm looking forward to working with you.